Hey guys, welcome back to week 8 of my MIT challenge, which is to learn MIT's 4-year computer science curriculum in 12 months without taking any classes or even being enrolled at MIT. So this past week I finished 3 more final exams, which brings my total amount of classes completed up to 7 out of the 33 total that I need to complete over the course of the year. So I'm just going to walk you through the 3 classes that I finished and where I plan on going in the future. So the first class I finished was Introductory Biology. Now you may be asking yourself, why is someone who's studying computer science taking a biology class? And there's 2 reasons for that. The first and simple reason is that I have to. One of the MIT requirements for completing a degree is to complete 6 so-called GIRs, or General Institution Requirements. And this is because MIT wants all of their graduates to have some foundation in all the different sciences, not just whatever domain they happen to be studying in. So because I'm trying to follow MIT's curriculum as closely as I can, then I have to do introductory biology. But the other reason is that the way that they taught this biology class was very much from an experimentalist viewpoint. So from everything from the Calvin cycle to the Z-scheme to DNA replication, all of these principles weren't just given to you as facts and terminology to memorize, but they were given to you as experiments that scientists had to design in order to uncover these principles of nature. And that's something that's very useful to computer scientists, because if you've ever done any programming, you know you spend a lot of time debugging. So getting exposed to different paradigms or different ways of looking at essentially a debugging problem, where you're getting evidence that you don't know how to interpret and you want to design experiments or tests to help separate what might be the cause of a bug in a computer science case, or what might be the cause of a certain feature of an organism in a biologist's case. And so getting exposed to that thinking style, I think, is very useful just as a computer scientist and also just as a rational human being exposed to evidence in the world. So I really enjoyed introductory biology, and I was quite happy with that course, even though it didn't fit into the computer science domain of the classes I'm taking. The second class also follows that trend, which was Principles of Chemical Science. Now here I had my first real hiccup of the program, because I did manage to obtain a final exam. However, it was from a different instructor in a different year in a different section, although under the same title of the same course. Now, when I had been preparing for the class, I thought that the curriculums would probably be pretty similar. And as following my rule where I don't look at exams before I actually have to go write them, when I actually got the exam and started opening it up, I realized that the curriculum was completely different. There was probably a lot of the same basics, but when you're writing a final exam, it was using completely different terminology and different higher level units, which were not discussed in my course, and it completely omitted the ones that I had prepared for and had studied for. So unfortunately, the only way I can really work around this is that I did write all the midterms for the class. So this covered about 90% of the course content. And although I had just done the midterms in a test format, so I did them, on a piece of paper with closed book, I was doing them as practice questions, so I didn't get the greatest mark that I'd hoped for, although I did pass them. So unfortunately, that's the closest I can get for this class until I can either get another final exam for this particular class, or possibly a final exam that also has access to a syllabus so I know what kind of material to be testing. But in any case, I feel quite confident because not only did I pass all the material on the practice questions, I also did a lot of preparation after that, so conceivably I'd get an even better mark the next time around. The third class that I finished today was Introduction to Electrical Engineering and Computer Science. Now, I really enjoyed this class because, like a lot of other students in MIT, I've done programming on the side before, and I have done introductory computer science classes at university when I was doing my first degree. And most introduction computer science classes are really boring. They don't talk about anything particularly interesting, and the examples are really watered down. So you're learning about very, very basic things. And I really enjoyed the MIT's approach of managing to blend the basics in with some more advanced concepts that are actually kind of cool. So they were doing a lot of stuff which involved Bayesian state estimation and pathfinding, which is not a topic that's typically covered in an introductory course, but is still really interesting. So the exam covered a lot of things involving how do you set up machines that can basically learn from the environment. And it's still the basics, it's not a full AI class, but just the fact that they were able to bring those topics into an introductory course, in my opinion, made it a lot more interesting. So the final class that I was supposed to write last week, but I decided to give it a few more days and work on it next week because I didn't feel quite prepared, was differential equations. And differential equations, I had a similar problem to chemistry in that the exam, all the video lectures and all the syllabus I was using is actually a decade older than the final exam I'm going to be writing, which with a subject like differential equations doesn't matter too much, but it does mean that there's a lot of terminology which may have changed, or they may be focusing on different elements in the final exam. Now luckily with this class I do have access to the older lecture notes that correspond with the exam, so I'm planning on taking 2 days to figure out which topics are missing in the overlap and really learning those in order to write the exam, hopefully on Wednesday. So you can wish me luck on that, and I'll be starting the next round of courses next week. So wish me luck, and I'll see you in week 9.